The film begins with a somber atmosphere. Two innocent sisters, Spider and her younger sister, stand weeping before their mother's corpse. Their mother died the previous night from an overdose of drugs. With hearts filled with grief, they silently took up her mother's body and hid it in an old trunk in a nearby shed. Spider's younger sister, tearfully expressing her love for her mother one last time, peeks at her last memento, a lobster, and eats it with her. As the older sister, Spider is both grief-stricken and fearful that if anyone outside learns of their mother's death, the authorities will separate them, leaving them forever. However, Spider, unwilling to lose her younger sister, decides to pretend their mother is still alive. The next morning, the two sisters leave for school as usual. However, the younger sister has also worn her mother's locket. Therefore, Spider tells her to remove it and keep it at home. Even after reaching school, she reminds her not to tell anyone about her mother's death. Later, to ease her heart, Spider tells her best friend about her mother's death, on the condition that she doesn't tell anyone, adding that she doesn't want to lose her little sister under any circumstances. Her friend, while saddened, decides to help and encourage her. However, the very next evening, an act by her younger sister frightens her. It was she came home from school with her friend and her grandmother. Spider panics and scolds her, warning her not to bring anyone home, let alone anywhere near the house, because people might turn and find out the truth. But besides the fear of people finding out, another problem also arises. Their food supplies are slowly running out, and their mother's monthly income is still 6 days away. So we decide to somehow survive the next 6 days, eating less. But suddenly, their mother's friend, Reed, comes to visit. Spider, to avoid him, lies, saying that their mother left with another woman an hour ago. Reed suspects Spider is probably lying. But for now, he says, "Be sure to call me when my mother returns." With that, he leaves. Her sister, in a panic, repeatedly insists that Reed might return. Angrily, Spider yells at her, causing her to sit next to her mother's body and cry. Spider then goes to her, hugs her, and explains that Reed is just a drug addict. When he realizes his mother doesn't want him, he'll go to someone else. To appease her sister, Spider takes her shopping as soon as she has the money. They buy a lot of food, have fun, and sit outside and eat. Today, after a long time, they have eaten something good. But then the shop worker came out and started taking pictures of them. Spider scolded him and went to him. She tried to delete the photos from his camera, but his camera wasn't digital, so she couldn't. Upon reaching home, Spider told her sister that they were receiving $600 per month from the government, at a rate of $200 per person. And that's because no one knew about their mother's death yet. After that, the two sisters went to sleep, talking about their mother and remembering her. But the next morning, their tension increased. Suddenly, their mother received a call from Child Services, who said she would come to the house to check on them. Both sisters panicked. Spider's sister said, "If we learn the truth, we'll be separated." So, together, they started cleaning their mother's room with KG. Then they find their mother's old teaching certificate, which reveals that she was a teacher before becoming a drug addict. Spider decides to tell the officer that their mother has gone for a bank job interview. But that Spider's sister remembers that their mother's car is still parked outside, which could arouse the officer's suspicion. So, the two sisters try to hide it together. Spider doesn't even know how to drive, but somehow manages to get out of sight. The next day, when the officer arrives home, they both say their mother has gone for a job interview and try to portray her as a responsible and loving mother. The officer also thoroughly checks that entire house, including the refrigerator in their mother's room. After concluding everything is fine, she leaves, telling them to call when their mother returns. They both breathe a sigh of relief for now, but they know the officer will return in a few days. So the next day, Spider decides to run away and goes to the bus station to inquire about the ticket crisis. But the receptionist, knowing she's only 15, tells her not to wander around alone. Convinced by his words, Spider leads and returns to the store to buy some essentials. There, she meets the cameraman, the shop worker. The worker shows her the photo he took that day and explains that he often goes around taking photos. He offers Spider to come back and sometime where he and Spider can take photos, but Spider refuses and returns home. Back home, her sister, still clutching her mother's locket, remembers her. She asks Spider, "Why are you so angry with her?" Spider simply replies, "Have you made some bad decisions in your life?" A little while later, her sister also sees the photo the worker took and, in a playful way, teases Spider, "Is that boy you like?" Spider then tells her that he's offered to accompany her to take photographs. During this, her sister insists that she should go with him. Spider agrees. The next day, the worker comes to pick Spider up with an old bike, and they wander off into the woods together, stopping at a spot. Spider jokingly asks him if he's a killer. The worker smiles, and they go into the woods. The worker teaches him how to use a camera and take photographs. Upon returning, he takes Spider to this dark room and prints the photographs. It's there that Spider learns about one of his clients, a man who forges fake certificates because he was a document-making officer. At Spider's request, the worker drops him off a short distance from his house and gives him a small digital camera to keep with him for a few days. Upon arriving home, both Spider and his sister are overjoyed. Gradually, the two sisters move beyond their mother's grief and begin to find small joys and support each other. But their happiness doesn't last long. One day, while they're sitting at a cafe, Ray arrives and angrily asks about their mother, who hasn't spoken to him in a while. He threatens Spider, stating that if their mother doesn't want to see him, she should at least return his $300 by Friday. Both sisters are horrified, as they barely have enough money for themselves. In a panic, the next day, Spider goes to a store and sells the digital camera the worker gave her, but only gets $50. So, to make up the remaining amount, she plants her mother's necklace. That night, she goes to Ray's van, gives her the money, and begs her to stop following them. But Ray begins teasing Spider and saying mean things about her mother. He says, "Your mother is a drug addict. She's always drunk. Quote, if she were in her senses, she would never have sent you here alone." Hearing this, Spider breaks down and runs into the shed, crying. In a rage, she repeatedly kicks the trunk containing her mother's body, shouting, "I hate you because you even befriended a vital person like Ray." Upon arriving home, her sister, terrified, embraces her tightly and asks, "Will Ray leave us alone now?" Spider softly replies, "Yes, but she knows that if Ray discovers their mother's death, the two sisters will be separated." The next day, she begins reading about adoption on the internet. She learns that an 18-year-old sister or brother told about younger siblings. But she was only 15. That night, her sister asks her about their mother's locket. But Spider, worried about breaking her heart, holds back the information, saying she's pawned the necklace. Just then, her mother receives a call from Spider's friend's father, who was the sheriff because he's also friends with Spider's mother. He tells her mother in a voice message to call him back, which further panics Spider. The next day, she meets with the worker's client, the document-making officer, and asks him to make fake documents for her, such as a driver's license and birth certificate, to make it appear that she's 18. But she doesn't have the money to pay the officer's hefty fee. Nevertheless, Spider convinces him to make the documents, saying, "I desperately need them." Returning home, she shares her plan with her friend. "I'll take my sister and go to a place where no one knows us." I'll adopt your sister by using a fake ID and pretend to be 18 years old. But for now, I won't tell my sister anything. Quote. Their friend is shocked, but also encourages her. The next day, Spider goes to the store, buys the worker's camera back, returns it, and tells him to leave, saying, I don't have time to spend with him anymore. But the worker coaxes her to hang out with him again, and she agrees. She takes photos with him, and gradually begins to like the worker. But later, while she's at home with her sister, a child services officer suddenly arrives. The two sisters, terrified, hide in the shed where their mother's body was found. However, the officer arrives and begins investigating, calling their mother's phone and leaving a warning voicemail that if she doesn't call back by evening, she'll call the sheriff. In a panic, Spider goes straight to the officer's house to get the fake IDs, but he's not there, and their fake IDs haven't been made. Spider is at a loss for what to do. Her sister also starts asking about their mother's locket again. So Spider tells her the truth. I sold the necklace. Hearing this, her sister is heartbroken. She says that locket was everything to her mother, but you sold it. Spider explains that her mother loved drugs and was a bad woman. Spider was saying this angrily. Her sister refuses to believe it. Spider then reminds her how their mother treated them badly, and how when she was very young, she left her on the veranda and forgot about her. Hearing her cries, Spider brought her inside and saved her. Spider also tells her that her asthma was also caused by her mother's mistake. When she was in her room, she took so many dangerous drugs that her lungs weakened before she was even born. Hearing this, her sister breaks down and cries, saying the this can't be true. She then runs out of the house, gasping for breath, and collapses on the spot from an asthma attack. Spider immediately follows her out. Then she remembers that she forgot to refill her breathing inhaler. Panicked, she calls 911, but the ambulance will take a while to arrive. Thinking this, she puts her sister in the car and brings her to the hospital. The doctors immediately admit her and begin treatment. But the doctors refuse to tell her anything, saying that her sister's condition should only be reported to an elder. Now, even if she wanted to, she can't call her mother. So she sits there, saddened. Just then, her friend's father, Sheriff, arrives and confirms with the doctor that her sister is fine. She breaks down in tears, blaming herself for her sister's condition because she forgot to recover and heal her. Sheriff explains that she's her sister, and it's all her mother's responsibility, and asks about her mother. But Spider can't say anything. She whispers, please don't separate us. Just then, her sister is discharged, and Sheriff brings the two sisters to their home. When his wife learns that their mother has been missing for weeks, she tells her husband that the two sisters should stay with her until they find a good family. Then we'll give them up for adoption, Sheriff explains. But Sheriff explains that this isn't easy, as their town already has over 70 children waiting for families, and if these two sisters are added to that list, it will be impossible for them to live in the same home. The next morning, Sheriff drops Spider and their sister off at school. Spider is determined to escape, and her friend forcibly gives her some money to help her. Spider then gets state IDs from the officer and rushes home, quickly packing up. Her sister, surprised, asks, where are we going? Spider tells her, we have to run. As her sister refuses. She doesn't want to leave her friends and mother like this. But Spider explains that if she doesn't run away, they'll be separated. In anger, she even slaps her. Suddenly, Rain barges into their house, forcibly pins Spider against the wall. He then says, your mother is dead, isn't she? And you're keeping her $200. You've kept it from everyone. If you want me to keep my mouth shut and agree to this, I'll have to give you $200 every month for your mother's sake. Quote, but his intentions are becoming more and more sinister. So, before anything bad happens, the two sisters attack him together, and Spider knocks him unconscious with a baseball bat. Her sister then, sadly, tells Spider, "I don't want to go anywhere." Spider understands her feelings. Then, the two sisters sit together, singing an old song about their mother, and finally deciding to tell the police everything. And they do. A short while later, their mother's body is taken away, and the sheriff sits beside them. Spider sadly asks him, "Is what I did wrong?" The sheriff sadly replies, "Whatever you did it to keep your sister together." He assures them he will never separate them. Then, their mother's funeral is held, where the two sisters, with sad hearts and sad faces, place flowers on their coffin. The sheriff's family accepts them as part of their family. They have adopted them so they can never be separated. A short while later, a worker comes to visit Spider. Spider then looks back at her mother's locket, reminiscing about her mother, regretting every bad thought she had about her. Then, when she opens the locket, she sees childhood photos of the two sisters. She now wears the locket around her neck and vows to always take care of her younger sister and never abandon her. And with this, the story of the film ends.